Have you ever really thought about what happens in those few seconds after you click book on a flight? I mean, it feels totally instant, right? But what you've actually done is tap into this huge hidden network that, believe it or not, powers the entire travel industry. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain and take a look at that invisible network.
You know the feeling. A couple of clicks, maybe 5 minutes on a website, and boom, a whole trip with flights, hotels, a rental car, it's all confirmed. It really does feel like magic. But behind that simple screen is a complex, decades-old web of interconnected systems all working together. So how on earth does it actually work?
Okay, so our journey starts with the absolute backbone of all of this. It's the system that pulls pretty much all of the world's travel options into one giant place, the Global Distribution System, or as everyone calls it, the GDS. The easiest way to think of a GDS is like the stock market, but for travel. It doesn't own any planes, it doesn't own any hotel rooms, it holds zero inventory itself. Instead, it's this live global marketplace that pulls in all that inventory from everyone else. This allows travel agents and websites to search, compare, and book everything from one single screen. It's the ultimate essential middleman.
Now, a system this huge didn't just pop up overnight. It had to evolve. If you go way back to the 60s, each airline had its own little isolated booking system. But by the 80s, they figured out, hey, we need to connect these things. And that's when the GDS was born. Then, of course, the internet boom of the 90s hit, and sites like Expedia plugged right into that GDS, putting all of its power right onto our home computers.
So here's a really crucial point, understanding the difference between a CRS and a GDS. A CRS, a computer reservation system, that's like the airline's own internal brain. It just manages its own flights. The GDS, though, that's the master network that connects all those individual airline brains together. It's the super mall that lets you shop from all the different stockrooms at the exact same time.
And what's kind of wild is that this massive global market is almost entirely controlled by just 3 companies: Amadeus, Sabre, and Travelport. That's it. They are the gatekeepers for pretty much every single travel booking made anywhere in the world.
All right, so the GDS is how we find all the available options. But, that leads to the next big question. What actually decides the price you see? Well, this is where we meet the real pricing brain of the whole operation.
We've all been there. You search for a flight, you get a price. You check again an hour later, and the price is totally changed. Well, I can tell you, that is not random. It's the work of a super smart system that's deciding in real time exactly what that seat is worth.
I love this quote from the International Air Transport Association. It just perfectly captures the beautiful chaos of airline pricing. It really is a gigantic jigsaw puzzle, but one where the pieces are constantly moving.
So here's the secret. Airlines don't price each seat one by one. Instead, they group seats into what they call fare classes or buckets, and each bucket has its own set price. So when all the seats in the cheapest bucket get sold, the system just automatically closes it and starts selling seats from the next, more expensive bucket. That's why you see prices suddenly jump up.
And this whole dance is orchestrated by something called a Revenue Management System, or RMS. It's got 3 main jobs. First, it forecasts demand, looking at past data, future events, all that stuff. Second, it manages inventory, deciding exactly how many seats to put in each of those price buckets. And finally, it handles the pricing, automatically opening and closing those buckets based on how fast seats are selling to make the most money possible on every single flight. It's the science behind that price you see.
Okay, so we found our flight, we get why it costs what it costs. Now for the hotel. When you see last room available online and you book it, how can you be so sure it's really the last one and that it won't get sold to somebody else a minute later?
Well, the answer is the Property Management System, or PMS. This thing is the hotel's on-the-ground command center. It's the software the front desk uses for check-ins, it's what housekeeping uses to update which rooms are clean, and it's what tracks every guest's bill. It is the single source of truth for everything happening inside that hotel building. But see, the PMS is totally focused internally on running the hotel. To talk to the outside world, to websites like Booking.com or Expedia, it needs a partner. And that partner is called the Channel Manager. The Channel Manager is the bridge. It takes the live, real-time availability from the PMS and just broadcasts it out to dozens of different booking sites all at once. And this right here is how you avoid those dreaded double bookings. The second you click book, the Channel Manager gets that info and instantly tells the hotel's PMS. The PMS updates its master list of rooms, and then the channel manager immediately blasts out that new lower room count to every single other website. The whole thing happens in seconds. It's a perfectly synchronized system.
So, this invisible network of the GDS, the RMS, and the PMS, it's been the engine of travel for decades. But it's definitely not standing still. The technology is already changing, and it's all pointing toward a much more personalized future.
The next huge step is something called New Distribution Capability, or NDC. You can just think of it as a massive, modern software update for the whole industry. It's a new standard that lets airlines get around some of the old, clunky limitations of the GDS, so they can send much richer, more personalized offers directly to travel websites.
So what's the real difference here? Well, the traditional GDS was built on older, kind of boring text-based technology. That makes it really hard to sell you the extras, like a specific seat or in-flight Wi-Fi. NDC, on the other hand, is all about rich, dynamic content. We're talking pictures, videos, and personalized bundles. It lets the airline offer you the exact same cool, customized experience you'd get on their own website, no matter where you're booking from.
And all of this brings us to one last really fascinating question. The trend is crystal clear. We're moving away from these standardized price buckets and sprinting towards hyper-personalization. So, as these systems get even smarter with AI, are we heading for a future where the price you're offered is calculated just for you at that exact moment? A unique price for every single traveler. It's definitely something to think about the next time you click book.